Welcome to the Rex Andrews Show. Glad to have you with us. If you're a first-time listener, thank you for tuning in. I'd like to welcome everybody back who is a listener. If you're a return listener, thank you very much. There's over 2.4 million podcasts out there, so there's a lot of choices. Today, I won't do a whole lot of fanfare up front. I just have an observation I wanted to share that came to me just recently. So we'll get on with that without all the housekeeping items. So springtime here in Colorado is a unique time of year because many birds return here. Being the fact that we do have winters, we do have cold weather, we do have snow, a lot of birds migrate south and then they come back in the spring. So when spring arrives, it's extremely evident because in the pre-dawn hours, in the dark of the night, pre-dawn hours, you start to hear the birds chirping. And I woke up a few days ago, and I'm an early riser, and plus I'm a little restless with all things happening in our world today. And I was listening to the birds. I was trying to be mindful and take that in. And I was listening. It was amazing because when you stop and listen, it's an amazing chorus. And so I pulled up my phone and I Googled and I took a look at, why do birds chirp in the early mornings? Because I didn't know anything about it. I'm not a bird watcher. I'm not an aficionado for that kind of stuff. And what turns out to be that the birds, it's mostly males. And these males are chirping because they want two things. One, they're marking their territory, just like a bear might or other animals, when they urinate and kind of mark their territory, a fox or a wolf or those types of things, they're marking the territory. Well, these birds males are marking the territory. And then the second thing that they do is they basically are trying to attract and validate themselves to the females. And so I set my phone down. I just started thinking about this. And, my mind drifted to the topic of validation. So like these birds, we as human beings, we all want to be validated. We want to be told it's okay. We want to know people have heard us or that they understand our feelings. And it made me drift into what's happening in our world today and the chaos and the upside down. So we see this in the media, social media, all these very small interest groups, and I'm not going to name them. I mean, you can make the calls on these. Very small percentages of our population. And they're reaching out and they're looking for this validation. They want to be accepted. They want to be validated. They want to be loved. And it's just all of this adds up to this, the concept of being validated. And, in a relationship, when you are expressing feelings, one of the most important things you can do is validate the other person's feelings, because it's generally not the issue that they want to talk about, it's their feelings. Well, then that made my mind go to an interview that I recently did on the podcast, and I won't name the guest. And we were talking about diversity in the workplace, and in particular in tech. And this lady was on the show, and she happened to be these items. She was an immigrant, or is an immigrant. She is Black. She's female. And she's also a lesbian, so LGBTQ, what all those letters are. And we were talking about that because I did recognize and I did understand, especially being in tech, that women executives are not at the numbers that one would expect or hope. And we were having the conversation, and I made the comment that, I grew up in an environment where I was born into the majority. I didn't choose that. But growing up in that environment, my parents were very balanced and very sage, and we didn't see the world through the lenses of racism. And racism is just thrown around as this horrible thing. Anything that people don't like, it's racism. Well, anyway, I made the comment that I'm colorblind, and that I've never seen people differently because my opinion is we're all unique. We're all have the uniqueness, and regardless of a skin color or ethnicity or where you were born or what your situation was. And she stopped me and she said to me, I don't want you to be colorblind. I want you to see me I want you to celebrate me. I want you to understand me. And I was taken aback because my point was, I don't care what all those ethnicities or preferences or groups you identify with, genders. I don't care. People are people. And we all put our pants on one leg at a time, and we all, do the same basic human functions. But it occurred to me as I was sitting there in the dark and I was replaying the situation in my mind that the groups that she belongs to, the fact that she's a woman, she is an immigrant, she is a minority, and she is a lesbian. She didn't want me to just say that she's a human being. She wanted me to celebrate her. And I thought, well, you don't celebrate me. You as this minority, these groups that you identify with, you don't validate me. You don't celebrate my whiteness or my in the majority. And if I lived in a country where it was black, and I was white, what am I supposed to celebrate them? Well, I don't see the world that way. I don't see the need to be validated. And so I just came to this conclusion that one of the biggest problems we have is we have so many interest groups and people identify with so many things. And if others don't validate, and not just validate and recognize them, but celebrate them, then it's racism, or they want to cancel it. So people want to get away from things that are not validating them. They want to basically say, well, if you're not recognizing me, then you're bad. You're not celebrating me, then you're bad, and you need to be removed, taken off of social media. If my ideas are different than yours and I'm not validating yours, well, then censor me, censor you. And it made me think, what a crazy world. What an absolute crazy world that everybody thinks they need to be validated. Look, there's only one race. It's the human race. And I don't care gender, orientations, ethnicities, color of skin, any of those things. I don't care. I just don't care. And we are not going to get over some of these issues and these divisions that are caused by these people doing this until we all realize we're just one race. And, if you are demanding that I celebrate you, well then, okay, return the favor, celebrate me. So, I am who I am at this point in time in the world. I'm in my mid-50s. I don't need your validation. I don't need any validation. And I think what we're seeing in our culture here in Western world is that people feel like they need to be validated because maybe for the first time in their lives, they're not protected by the validation that they got from their parents or their peers, their friends, those growing up. Or maybe they never got that validation from anyone. So it was just a thought. And you know what? We're animals on this planet. And so we're really no different than those male birds. We're seeking validation. We're trying to get attention of the female birds. And so it made me think, across all these species, across the entire planet, we see this need for validation. And I just thought that was an interesting thought because it really is the root cause of all kinds of behaviors, all kinds of division, all kinds of strife, and all kinds of outrage because we're not celebrating or validating people's needs. And maybe we need to look inside ourselves. Maybe we need to look for validation through other resources and not just the rest of the world. Because I tell you what, I don't give a damn what you think of me. I am who I am. I am the person that I'm always going to be. And those who are in my inner circle who love me, that's enough. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that this morning. Coming in from doing a little bit of yard work pre-morning, getting my day started, and it was rattling around my head, and I just had to share it. So until next time, the three things I say every time: be safe, be bold, and make it a great day.